This is WICR.
All right, Iona, welcome back for another episode of VG Sports here on Tuesday night. Sorry for the delay for a bit, but we're here in full action. My co-host, Gio the G-Shocker, to the left.
We're ready.
Alrighty, so we're going to dive right in and get you covered with last night. We had Monday Night Football between the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. This happened to be one of the coldest games played so far. At kickoff, 25 degrees last night at LP Field, and that was definitely a factor in the play throughout the game. In the end, the Pittsburgh Steelers ended up coming up with the win, 27-24, and throughout the game, Pitt scored the first 10 points, followed by a Tennessee touchdown and then a Pitt field goal. But then Pitt had a bit of a drought where Tennessee went on a run with 14 unanswered points, and that had them up 24-13. And this was when Pitt basically woke up and came into action and got the win, 27-24 in the fourth quarter, with Big Ben going off last night. He completed 21 of 32 passes with 207 yards, threw for a nice touchdown and also an interception, and huge contribution from Le'Veon Bell last night. 33 carries, 204 yards. The first 200-yard rush by a running back this season in the NFL, and the highest rushing game for a running back in the NFL so far. On the other side, you had Mettenberger with 15 of 24, 263 yards and 2 touchdowns, also with an interception. So, G, I know you watched the game. What did you see last night?
Yeah, besides Pittsburgh starting off well, I mean, Tennessee really had, decent control of the game, even though they have a rookie quarterback in Zach Mettenberger. He had a decent game, like you said, his stats, 263 for 2 touchdowns and a pick. But then again, after the half, Pittsburgh really turned it around because they went back to the running game. Le'Veon Bell, like you said, he established 204 rushing yards, and that was also the most for a Pittsburgh Steeler running back, I think, at least on Monday Night Football. 204 yards, like you said, the most in the NFL so far this season. We know DeMarco Murray for Dallas has been really dominating the running game. Well, Le'Veon Bell showed yesterday that he can do the same. He's also a decent receiver. If you look at his stature, he's a pretty big guy, so he can both catch and he can run the ball. But Tennessee, I didn't think they would win the game because they're kind of a young team and they have a lot of people that are injured and are missing from the team. I kind of figured that maybe Pittsburgh would turn it back around in the second half. It was only a 10-point margin, so it wasn't really anything big. But yeah, Pitt came back and they put themselves in a great position. Their record now is 7-4, and Tennessee's 2-8. So if I had to say Pittsburgh going down the line, if they keep their defense right, their offense is pretty much great. They have Antonio Brown, who's one of the top receivers in the NFL right now, and they have Le'Veon Bell, so they can go far. I can see them making a deep postseason run. But we also just heard that LeGarrette Blount just got released. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, a huge loss for the team there, and I think that going forward now they're going to have to fill in that missing spot for themselves. Usually when we see Pitt play, like last night, we'll see, this will be a game for them where they could say, oh, this is an easy win. And, I wouldn't consider last night's game definitely an easy win.
Oh, they struggled a little bit.
Right.
Sure.
But we see them usually struggle with these teams that you'd say is an easy win.
Right, like the Jets last week.
Right, exactly. So we see them come in now against a team like Tennessee, and, Tennessee is not a very, I don't want to knock them, but not a very talented team right now. They definitely need to build, they need to get somebody that they can build around, and they don't have that yet. So going forward, definitely not Tennessee's year, and for Pittsburgh, they're in an AFC East where, what do we got going for us? We got the Jets here. What I'm saying?
We don't have anyone. I mean, Pittsburgh is fine where they're standing because they have Cincinnati and the Browns, so they're going to be fine, I think, with their position right now. But yeah, for us in our East Division, we have pretty much no one. I mean, it's just the New England's ravaging.
Always in there is New England, and then you got Miami, who really hasn't done much this year.
Yeah, Buffalo's inconsistent as well.
Right.
So
So I guess with that being said, they'll be covered. Hopefully, maybe they can get in with a wild card spot, or
They might win their division because they can pass the. The Ravens aren't going to win anything, but I think they're going to outlast the Cleveland Browns. I think they'll probably win first in their division.
Right.
So I see that happening.
All right. Well, that'll get us covered up for the Monday Night Football game last night. We're gonna jump quickly now into the NBA portion of our segment. We got the Knicks playing tonight against the Bucks. They're in Milwaukee. So now, G, I know you've followed every single Knicks game so far this season.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, he's right.
3-8, and you got the 5th best scoring player in the NBA right now, Carmelo Anthony.
Yep.
Averaging at 23.9 points per game. What do you have to say about your main guy and your team right now?
All right, so I'm not going to go off on a tangent. I'm just going to keep it calm here, and I'm just going to relax and just go a few minutes of explanation. The problem with the Knicks right now is, I don't know, their defense isn't so great. That's the problem coming into the season. They're slowly figuring out the triangle offense. I know Phil Jackson implemented that, and
right.
They got an important win the other day to go to 3-8 after losing, I think it was 7 straight games.
Yeah.
They needed that win. Melo, like you said, fifth leader in scoring in the NBA, 23.9, so around 24 points a game. This year, he's probably not going to win a scoring title, and it's because of the triangle offense, because they want people to share the ball. He scored 28 against Denver, but then you also saw J.R. Smith score 28. We know Tim Hardaway Jr., when he comes in, he's going to score. Iman Shumpert, when he's healthy, he's going to score because Shumpert was on a tear before he got hurt with the hip injury and was out for 2 games.
And also contributing great defense.
Exactly, and he's probably the best defensive stopper we have. So before that happened, I knew that Melo wasn't going to average the most points, but it's not all on him. So you can't say the Knicks, the reason for them losing is because of him. No, the reason is the defense. Okay, they have 2 7-footers. They have Samuel Dalembert and Amari, who's almost there. Jason Smith is not 7 feet, but he's a decent-sized player who can play center or power forward. So you need those guys to step up defensively and put their foot in there and stop people in the paint, because the Knicks get out-rebounded all the time. So
right. Now, with this triangle offense, this is going to be a tough question to answer here. But with this triangle offense, we still see Melo still averaging around, over 20 attempts a game.
Yeah.
I could say that.
Yeah,
so,
you can say that.
When we see stuff like that, and he's averaging around, 35 to 40 minutes a game.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think? Do you think that being that this triangle offense is trying to be implemented, do you think that he should still be the main guy with the ball in clutch situations and in, when he feels like he wants to score? Is he the scorer of that triangle offense?
Honestly, yes. It's simple as that for me. I know the point is to share the ball. You're going to pass the ball more, and they have. And like I said, they need their guys to score because they have scores on the team. They have J.R. Smith who can score and Timmy Hardaway. But Melo is always going to be the one to take the last shot, the clutch shot. We saw against the Magic where J.R. Smith threw a brick. He didn't even hit the rim on that game-winning attempt. That's when you had Melo right next to you, and you should just pass it to him. It was a good look because he was able to get a little bit of space, but I think Melo's still the guy to go to. We saw the other night he hit a bank off the glass. He hit a 3-pointer to tie the game,
right?
And then they lost, on a buzzer beater, which was disheartening there. But I just still think Melo's the guy, and he can take 20 attempts a game. I'm fine with that. He just needs to hit his free throws when he goes to the line. But I'm fine with that as long as he's not taking 30 shots. He's like Kobe Bryant, who's taking 35 shots. So
right.
I'd rather have him do that.
All right, so we'll get into Kobe also in just a minute. But before that, we have our other team that we always talk about, OKC.
Yeah, that's your team.
Right, at 3-8 right now also. And I have question marks next to my team's name right now. But, I've heard some good news since Sunday. We had Kevin Durant before the Houston game. He was taking some shots before the game on his little crutches there. And his knee brace.
Let me just say something real quick. Before we came in here on Twitter, there was a feed, and it showed both Westbrook and Durant actually practicing together. They are practicing. They're getting some jump shots. They're cutting a little bit, so that's a good sign.
Right. Today, OKC had a little shoot-around because they have a game tonight against the Jazz, and they're in Utah, so they had their shoot around this afternoon, and
Yep.
Russell Westbrook was involved with that also. So
And he's finally shooting with his right hand, so that's good to see.
yeah. So now going forward, I hope that these guys can get back as soon as they can, because they've come so close throughout these games, and they have the talent, but these guys really are their heart and soul. Is what I feel, that they lead that team, and without them, Scotty Brooks puts all the weight on them. To be honest with you,
I agree.
and when the both of them aren't there, it just becomes a whole big discombobulation.
And like you said, they're hanging in there with these games. So imagine having the scoring from Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. They might be killing these teams.
And I've been talking to a lot of people lately who know that I'm also a big OKC fan, and they're all telling me that it's going to be too late by the time these two come back, that they're going to have to get cohesive again and get into rhythm.
Right. Not if it's next month, I'm telling you that.
I think they can dive right in and just get going and get these W's on the board.
I think they're still going to have a good season and get to the playoffs. So,
well, let's hope for that, for my sake also. Also, your boy, Kobe, who you just brought up, still old and killing it.
Yep.
Averaging 27.3 points per game, the number one in the NBA right now, just under LeBron. He's got 27.1. So, they're on the same path right now. But then you look at the Lakers now, who are 1-9.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at all these teams here that have their high points per game scorers. They're averaging the most points, and yet their records don't reflect in the record. Their points don't reflect in the record.
Yeah. No, that just shows you that you need team basketball to win games. You can't rely on one guy. So that shows you right there, like we said with the Knicks struggling with the offense, because they go back to Melo. As soon as they get the offense figured out, then they're going to win some games with their defense. But the Lakers, let's be honest, it's a lost cause for them this year. 1-9 already. They're not really going to go far. No offense to any LA Lakers fans. And if they're going to go back at Knicks fans, because we're not having a good season either. But hey, we're going to both struggle this year. Kobe is taking as many shots as he wants because he's the only one that's going to be able to do anything. Who do they have around him? They have a couple young guys, and then they have Carlos Boozer and Jordan Hill. They're not guys that's going to score 25 points for you. Kobe's going to have to lift the weight himself and do this himself. And sadly, he has. And I don't know if you saw this the other day, but he broke the record for the most missed field goal attempts in the NBA.
Yeah.
So that just tells you how many shots he's taken. But, he has to. And like you said, he's a leading scorer for a reason. He has to carry the team. And, he's getting old, so he can't play the whole game, and he can't win everything for them. So that's why they're 1-9.
Right, and on top of that, that record-breaking stat there, I don't know if you heard his quote after the game. He said, "What do you expect after being 19 years in the league?"
Yeah.
And being a shooting guard.
Exactly, and he's one of the all-time leading scorers in points anyway. So what do you expect? He has to take the shots. He's a Hall of Famer.
So we'll see what happens going forward with that, and I think that their major loss also was Pau Gasol this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Going to the Bulls now.
They might have been more decent with Kobe and Pau together.
Right.
For sure.
Kobe and Pau were definitely, starting at least to gain a little bit of cohesive energy.
And Steve Nash is always hurt. Also, don't forget that.
Steve Nash is done for the year.
He's probably done forever.
Yeah. It's not looking good for LA right about now.
Yeah, it's not.
So that'll get you. That's everything for the NFL and the NBA portion of today's show. When we come back, we're going to get you covered on the MLB. Big trades going down and signings and free agency. And also, it's college basketball time, guys. Everything's all around now. Iona played earlier today, the men's team, and we're going to get you all covered and settled with all that. So don't go anywhere.